I thought I had this love story. I thought I knew what my life was going to look like. I thought that that was a story that I had some control over, and surprise, I didn't. And so that was a really interesting kind of grappling that I did was, okay, no matter how much I want to rewrite this, I cannot do it. It's going to be a new beginning. It's going to be something else. It's just going to be a new story.
Welcome to The Lisa Show, where we take a good look at life. Back in my college days, I took an art class with my brother Christopher. We both love to paint, and it's something that we bonded over. And at the time, if he didn't get into med school, he was going to be an artist. He was pretty serious about it. And then he got into med school. I think he was a little disappointed, which is kind of funny to me. He's a great doctor. Everything turned out well. Don't feel bad for Chris. But we always joked about it. Chris only wanted to work 4 days a week and then on Friday be able to paint all day. So we'd say, hey, let's work and establish our careers and our families and set it up so that Fridays are for painting. You know, the kind of conversations you have when you're in college. So 30 years later, that's never happened. And we get together now and we joke about it. Oh, haha, remember Fridays were paint days? And usually when I meet up with my brother, we go grab dinner, we go to movies, stuff like that. But this time I said, hey, why don't we go grab dinner, but then come to my house and do crafts, like paint and just be creative, like lower the standards on, making a beautiful oil painting, but just do something creative. And he said, oh my gosh, this is going to be so great. Let's do it. And so we sat down to do it, and we were watching the Pee Wee Herman documentary, and we started kind of doodling, and it struck me as kind of funny because a few decades ago, painting was this thing that we shared and did together, and whether or not we got to be creative professionally, we had this idea that we'd keep doing it a lot. Like we imagined that we'd set up our lives around making it happen. If you had told me then that all this time later, we'd be picking up our paintbrushes together for the first time in years, I think my younger self would have been bewildered. But I do a lot of talking about creativity. I've written about it, spoken about it. We've done a whole mini series here on the podcast. And I feel like most people I know who want to add a little more creativity into their lives have a version of this story. Our younger selves pictured us finishing novels, paintings, crocheting comforters, and our current selves are just trying to picture starting. Finding the time to practice your art, whatever it is incredibly difficult in the real world. So I'm excited to share this conversation with you. Ally Condie is a New York Times bestselling author and English teacher, and her perspective on creativity, both as a professional herself and as a teacher, will bring hope to anyone who made artistic goals before life happened, or whose idea about what creativity should look like is making it hard to actually get it done. Ally has lived some life, and she's very honest about the fears and struggles and the perfectionism she's had to overcome to get where she is today, including having to adapt her creativity when life changed in ways that were painful and sudden, when writing had to be her income for her family as a solo parent, and when there simply wasn't time. Meet Ally Condie.
So my name's Ally Condie, Ally Braithwaite Condie. I like to throw my middle maiden name in there when I can. And I'm an author, which is a really fun job. I write books for children and adults. So I've written picture books, middle grade novels, YA novels, and adult fiction. And I'm also a professor at BYU in the English department.
That's so great. How do you maintain that creative output with all the obligations, parenting, work, and others? How do you make sure that that creative life or that creative pursuit is still nourished? Because it strikes me that you are a very balanced, that you're good at kind of going in and out of that. And by your response, I can tell that maybe you don't feel confident in that. And I think we're all trying to figure that out as well. How do you do that?
Oh, it's so messy, Lisa. Like there's,
Right?
Yeah, it just is. And I'm a single mom and have been for a while. And so
That's rough.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel like I'll kneel down to pray or whatever. And I'm showing up and saying, Hi, I just had another day of disappointing everyone, you know?
Yeah, no one's happy.
No one's happy, and I didn't do my best work, and
yeah, I'm going to try again tomorrow.
yeah, exactly.
I find myself saying that a lot.
Yes, 100%. And so I think there is that element of tapping into whatever your higher power is, if it's nature, the universe, or God, or whatever you feel drawn to. Yeah. I do think it's nice to be able to reach out to something. For me, nature is also huge. If I can get outside, that will make a big difference. But that's hard to balance too. So I think mostly what I've learned is if I can be outside for a little bit every day, if I can connect with my kids, and if I can do a little writing or teaching, it needs to be a lot. That's my actual job as well. Yeah. But if I've dipped a little bit of a toe in it, maybe I didn't grade all the student essays or poems or short stories, but I read one of them and thought about it. Mm-hmm. That feels good to me when I'm able to do a little bit of all of that. And then offer grace when you don't do any of it because there was an emergency at school and you did that.
Because that's what an emergency is.
Yes,
you have to
100%.
drop everything. You mentioned this idea of wells and fountains at a BYU alumni lecture a few years ago, and I would love for you to expound on that a little bit. What is it about wells and fountains that are so important or connect you to like a creative life?
So I grew up in southern Utah, which is very non-hydrated. And so we kind of would notice that was something we always had to be connected to was, do we have enough water? Are we going to be okay when we're hiking? Do we have the resources that we need? Is it going to flash flood when we're in the Narrows? And so I think I kind of paid attention to water in maybe a way that people where it's abundant didn't. And then I've lived a couple of different places. I lived in upstate New York when my ex-husband went to Cornell, and water was everywhere. And I thought, this is kind of amazing. It's available all the time. And that kind of got me thinking, sometimes you have to tap deep. You have to go deep to get the water. And everything's looking a little bit dry on the surface. And sometimes you have to go to the well and get water. And sometimes you can just be this fountain. You can be the person who's so excited, who's sparkling, who's just flowing with ideas and enthusiasm and excitement. Yeah. But you can't always be one or the other. You know, you can't always be digging deep and never getting a chance to explode with joy. And you also can't be doing that if you're not looking a little bit further down.
Oh, I like that. I'm always hesitant to use any metaphor that's like all or nothing. And that accounts then for like the different sort of seasons in your life or when it happens or doesn't happen for you. Because sometimes you've got these mundane days where you're just showing up and just putting pen to paper, or you're just practicing, you're just trying to get something in your head that could create an output. Yes. And then other times you feel like, oh, this is amazing. You're on fire. And
yeah, I have so many ideas. My brain hurts. I can't get them down. Yeah.
Fast enough. Yeah. And it accounts for that. I'm curious as to what that looks like in a creative day for you, where you need to create. What's your process like? What is a day in the life like?
Well, yeah, it's changed and it's shifted. And I think that happens with motherhood. So
Amen.
Yeah. My kids used to be small, so my creative day looked like nap time. When are the children asleep? When are they resting at night? What can I fit into those pockets of time? Is my brain even working in those pockets?
Or am I just going to like turn off too?
Yeah, because I've found that there's always times I want to create, and they may not line up with the times that I am able to create. And that's the same now with teaching too. You know, I might feel super creative in the sense that I want to write, but I need to go teach. And so I've kind of found that shifts a lot. Lately, my kids are all in school, which means a bigger, different pocket of time. So I try to use that as well. But honestly, for me, it looks like I'm a runner. And so I feel like I never want to run, but I like having run.
Yes.
But
I explain it the same way. I'm like, I know people are like, oh, I hate running. I'm like, oh, no. I don't like running. I like how I feel when I stop running.
Yes.
I go, wow, I feel amazing.
Totally. And there are days where you really want to run.
Yeah.
And that happens, but that's the exception rather than the rule, at least for me. And so usually I've gotten the kids to school and I'm tired and there's a lot of things I should probably be doing for the house or minutia or grading I should be doing. But there's that concept of, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to start. And if you're a runner too, mile one's usually the worst. And then you kind of feel, oh
because
my gosh.
My mind is always like, why am I doing this? I'm not even that fast. I bet I look like an idiot. You know what else I should be doing? I should be. And then my mind just cannot just like let it go for that first mile.
Yeah. And then you kind of hit that flow state, which I'm really fascinated by different people's flow states where you're no longer thinking, you're just doing. And that happens in athletics. That happens for lots of different business, everyone.
Lots of creativity.
Yeah. Everyone has a flow state that's possible. And so for me, writing, the flow state isn't immediate. But when I hit it, that's kind of the faith I have to sit down with is this is going to be hard to start. You're not going to feel like you love this, and then later you're typing along feeling, I love this.
I think the second part of that we often don't talk about as well is how closely tied it is to the fear of failure or rejection and the idea of imposter syndrome, and that everybody feels this to some degree in the creative process. What is your attitude towards that fear of failure or rejection in creativity, and how do you push through it?
That's such a great question, because the interesting part is with writing, and I don't know if it's like this with acting and other things, is, I've written other books, but I've never written this book. And so I still have that fear of failure. I still have that knowledge that this could be a colossal disaster or something I put a lot of time in that doesn't turn out. And so I kind of have come to the place now where I just feel like the act is enough. I'm also the breadwinner for my family, so the act has to do things too.
Right.
But
I also accomplish something.
Yes. I can't just walk into my office and make stuff and never send it out to anyone. But it's been really helpful to be a teacher and to try to frame it for students, because I can genuinely believe for them that they're not failing when they're trying new things or they're trying cool things. So that's the thing. You have to turn it around and apply it to yourself too. Well, do I really believe this? If I do, then that has to be true for me, not just for my students. And so that's been really fun to see, to watch them. And we have a saying, there's no draft one, there's a draft zero. And so that takes the pressure off a little bit.
Explain that a little bit more.
Yes.
I like this.
So sometimes students will say, it's my first draft. Oh, my first draft is so bad. And I say, and this is, a lot of writers say this isn't unique to me, but you're just having fun. It's getting it down on paper so you can fix it later, because you can't fix something that doesn't exist. And there's an author named Ann Patchett who I really love.
I like her.
She's so great. And she talks about how the act of writing is sort of like there's this butterfly flying around in your head, and it's beautiful, and it's an idea, and it accompanies you, and it's so lovely. And then the act of writing is like killing the butterfly and pinning it to the board. And that makes me laugh. And she's very funny. But it does kind of feel like that.
It's very dramatic and a little brutal.
It is. Yeah. And very evocative. It's never maybe going to be quite as beautiful as it was when it was flitting around in your mind. But you want to preserve it. And this analogy, like all analogies, falls apart at some point. I'd rather have a live butterfly than a dead one. But it is kind of that act of, I am going to preserve this and show this to someone and fix it and arrange it. And so that's kind of fun to think about too, is, again, this could fall apart if we took it too far, but we're all trying to show each other these butterflies. Yeah. We're all trying to say, hey, I have this thing. And it's okay to fail on your way there. It's okay to fail all the time, as long as you're remembering that everyone else does it too, because we're all reading everyone else's polished, final, published draft. Right. We're not reading everybody else's draft zero.
I love that. In the process that you allow for that, it's not, if I make a mistake.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's actually the point of it.
Right.
Is to know that there will be multiple drafts. What has crafting that over and over again taught you about new beginnings and taught you about a fresh start?
Oh, man, I don't know how personal you want me to get here, but...
Listen, it's the Lisa Show, and I get real personal.
Yeah, I think, so I've been writing stories, I've been doing this thing, and there is an element of control, right?
Yes.
When you're in
What
charge.
I will say, what I will not say.
Yeah, I can shape the story. I am the author. I do feel like I'm not always in control of the creative process, which I actually welcome and enjoy in a lot of ways. But yeah, so I had built this sort of accidental career. I was never supposed to be the breadwinner of my family. That was not in the plan. And then later I got divorced, and I thought, with all my might, I wanted to rewrite that story. You know, I didn't want the marriage to end. I didn't want that to be over. You know, my novel Matched is about a girl who finds the love of her life. And to write that evenly, I had taken half of my favorite things about my husband and put them in one boy and half in the other. And so I thought I had this love story. I thought I knew what my life was going to look like. I thought that was a story that I had some control over, and surprise, I didn't. And so that was a really interesting kind of grappling that I did was, okay, no matter how much I want to rewrite this, I cannot do it. There's no way I can rewrite this story. It's just going to be a new story. It's going to be a new beginning. It's going to be something else. And I know you're a mom too, but it's almost like I can make peace with things for myself, but making peace with them for my children is not my favorite.
It's the hardest thing.
It's the hardest thing, I think.
Because you want the best for your kids.
Yeah. And I don't want to, I kind of want to write their story in some ways, maybe. And
I kind of do.
Yeah.
I'm not proud to admit it, but
right.
Yeah, I do. I want to have some influence or control over it.
Yes, or even just, I don't know what it has to look like, but I want you to be happy.
Right.
Or I want you to have meaningful work, or even these sort of general things. Mm-hmm. I don't get to write that even.
Yeah.
And I think that's been a really interesting revelation, really harrowing sometimes, really haunting in some ways, but also, you don't get to choose everything. You don't get to choose who loves you and who doesn't. You don't get to choose how your kids experience their lives. And so that was an interesting, painful, difficult place to be, and not one I wanted to be. And then it turned out to be, I didn't want it to be a creative place, but I had to write to support my family. And so that's when I ended up writing an adult murder mystery, which I never thought I would write, but it was the only thing that I could write at that time. And so I had to sort of lean into that and think, well, that's going to be what I do next, I guess, because it's the only thing I can do. Yep. I don't know if you've been in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. I've been in an accidental career trying to control situations that were beyond my control, and in a position where I was doing a kind of work that I had to do. Yeah, we have to keep the lights on. We have to do this thing. And lucky to be able to do it. And so you just do it.
You do. And then that book ended up being the book that Reese Witherspoon chose for her book club. And so you just think, I had no idea, as I was gutting that out during COVID and divorce, that anyone would even read this. And I kind of didn't want to write it because it was about, it's not autobiographical, but it is about a woman who's just gotten divorced. And so she's alone at this resort, and she realizes, I'm the one who could solve the murder if it happened, because everybody else is with somebody. And I'm just alone paying attention to all the happy couple,
Yes. I'm hyper aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
Because I can't not see it.
Yeah. And I don't have my person here anymore. Yeah. And so that happened on a trip. There was no murder. I have never solved a murder mystery.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But,
no, I'm just kidding. I'm glad there's no murders. Yeah, for the record.
But that kind of took me to this idea that then turned into this other thing. And so grief will out, right? Like it will.
Yes, it will.
And so...
Period. End of sentence.
Yeah. So there it is. Grief will out, and the forms it takes are sometimes really scary and sometimes really surprising.
Yeah. Wow. I sometimes miss the illusion of control, is what I always say.
I do too.
When people say, do you miss like the before? Yeah, I didn't have any more control, but I thought I did. And that's kind of a nice place to live.
It is. And I sometimes think creative people often are born, and this is again not a blanket statement, but with a touch of anxiety.
I like this. Keep going.
Maybe. A lot of creative people are born with a touch of anxiety, or as my therapist, who I love, she said, a lot of creative people have a brain that wants to work the problem.
Yes.
And so,
Won't let it go.
And that behooves us really well when we're revising or we're looking at something from different angles. That suits us, and that's helpful, and it's really conducive to the creative process until it isn't. Until you're working a problem that can no longer be worked, or that you need to take a break from, and you need to go be floaty in the grass and think about something else. So that's just something I've thought about too, is, is it helping me to work this problem, or is this an unworkable problem and it's time to let go of it?
That is so true. I'm curious about who you look to for inspiration, or whose creativity or creative habits or creations have inspired you in your life, and why.
I think about my grandma actually all the time, and on the surface, she had a really interesting, cool life, but she wasn't an artist in a singular way, or she didn't do just one thing. But she was a great baker, a great cook. She could sew her own clothes from what she saw Jackie Kennedy wearing, and she thought that would look glamorous in Cedar City, Utah, So she was good at that, but she was also really good she was a first grade teacher, and everybody loved her, and she could teach kids to read. But you walked through the door and you sort of felt like you were the best person on earth, and that she was the happiest to see you. Anyone could have walked through that door and it wouldn't have been as good as you. She treated everyone like that. And so I think about that a lot. What am I creating? How was she able to create in so many different ways, so many wonderful moments and beautiful things? And so I think about her quite a bit. I really love her and the way she lived. She lived a creative life, even though on paper you would have maybe thought, well, what shows did she exhibit in or what music did she write? But her life was so creative. And she said this thing that I love and think about a lot too, where she said, well, I'm just a really good appreciator and an enjoyer. She would use those words. And I think that's kind of the secret too. So I think about that a lot. What am I enjoying? What do I
appreciate? What do I enjoy?
Yeah, what do I love about this?
And I think that's an important part of living a creative life.
Yeah. I agree. And I think as you were saying that, it made me think about a trip I took with a friend to Iceland. And we just started laughing. And I think about this all the time, this phrase that he used. We went to Iceland and we're from Utah, so we were dumb. We just thought, oh, wow. I mean, we have waterfalls here. It'll be cool to see more waterfalls. And then we went around the corner and saw our first waterfall, and we could not stop laughing because the scale.
You're like, no, that's
right. Everything. How silly were we? But then it kept happening. Every turn there was a beautiful thing, and that happens in lots of places in the world. It was just so outrageous and outsized there. And so every time we saw something beautiful on that trip, he started yelling, "Go home, eyes, you're drunk," because
it's too much.
It was like too much beauty, too much awesomeness. And so I feel like it's good to get your eyes drunk. Sometimes.
Yes.
Or your ears with beautiful music. Or your body with running at mile 3 or whatever. Whenever it kicks in. But get yourself a little bit beauty drunk, I guess, is maybe I don't know.
So my late husband was also a professor. And so students would come in and be like, I want to be an actor, or I want to be a playwright, or I want to be, what do I do? What do I do? And his advice was always the same because it wasn't ever what they thought. They thought they were going to come in and get first you do this, like a list of prescriptive things in order to become this great artist or to have this career or to become famous. And those are all 3 very different things and very different pursuits. And his advice was always the same, was just ingest and take in. If you want to be a good writer, then read the best books and read those words. Those words will come and be a part of you. And same thing as an actor or as a musician, I think it would be the same thing. If you're listening to the greats and it's in you, then the more you put in, it's like having a bookcase or a bookshelf inside yourself that now you have ideas to draw on. It's like that first draft, right? You can't work with nothing. If you're an empty vessel, you've never read anything, experienced anything, you have nothing to draw on. So ingesting all of that really great stuff, getting drunk on art.
Yes.
Your eyeballs drunk on art, which I love.
And it really can be anything. I remember going with a friend to Pizzeria 712, and you know how they have that chocolate pudding. So a restaurant with good food.
I know that.
A restaurant with really good food.
Yeah, that's art.
And it is. And they shushed the rest of the table while they were eating it, which was so cute and funny, just saying, hey, I want to enjoy this. I want to experience this.
Yes.
I'm just going to be doing one thing right now, and it's eating this amazing dessert. I think all of that stuff is great too. All the sensory. Yeah.
Yeah. And what a great way to live, too.
I think so.
On being on a creative journey. I love that. Was there something that you've been afraid to try that has changed you for the better?
Yeah, there's been a few things. I was really afraid to write that murder mystery. I thought, nobody's asking me to write this. This isn't the book I'm under contract to write. This isn't... this is way outside of my wheelhouse. I'm really scared to write this. I'm really scared of what people will say. Will they say, she can't write for adults? She can only, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was so scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was extremely scary. But I couldn't, and this is where it comes down, and I don't know if this is the same for you with your creativity. I was super scared to do it, and I couldn't not do it.
There's
I had to do it.
I'm going to do it. But
yeah, or that feeling of it will be harder for me not to do this than it is for me to do this, even though doing it is hard.
Yeah.
So there have been a few things like that. That was super scary. Applying to teach at BYU at a university was very scary.
Why is that?
Because there's no mystique when you're teaching.
That's so true.
Like you were saying about high school, it's feedback in real time. They're watching you make mistakes. And I show them, it's about them. It's not about me. So I don't show them a lot of my work, but I do bring in and say, look at this manuscript. Look how marked up this is. And this is what I do for my job. And so there's no wizard behind the curtain anymore. It's just me in front of you saying, I don't know how I'm successful, or I don't know why I'm teaching you. I don't know what authority I have. It's just, teaching is so vulnerable.
It's so vulnerable.
So that was scary. Yeah, there have been a lot of moments that have been really scary. Or do I dare to keep writing when, in my case, I had a lot of complicated feelings. Like the person I wrote all my love stories about doesn't love me anymore. Who am I to write a love story?
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And so...
Talk about personal and vulnerable.
But I like writing love stories, so I'm going to keep writing them, even if mine is not the way it was before. These characters, people out in the world are still falling in love and doing these things. So it felt a little scary, but then super fun to write about people falling in love again. Yeah.
I like that you acknowledge your real life. And I think that sometimes falsely we have this idea that the true creative is just only responsible for themselves and their art, and someone else is taking care of everything else. And maybe that is a narrative that maybe is outdated. I hope so, because I just don't think it's very realistic to do that by ignoring the other obligations that we have, like caring for human beings and making money in order to provide to feed those beings or ourselves, or, it's not for the elite. It's not for the lone wolf who struggles and suffers for their own art and nothing else.
In their ivory tower.
With their benefactors and I don't know what else. I don't know who these people are, so it's hard for me to describe them.
Well, and I think too, sometimes we get the impression that that's the ideal way, is if you're locked in your ivory tower.
If I have nothing else to do and unlimited funds.
Yes, and all the time in the world. But I think creativity is also about connections. I love engaging with people in my field. That's my bread and butter. I love talking with them about writing and working. It's great. The English department at BYU has been fantastic to get to talk to other people, because writing is so solitary. But also when you're just enjoying something you can't do or deriving ideas or creativity from someone else, it just feels like pure pleasure. I'm not trying to do Simone Biles level gymnastics or really any gymnastics. So all her hard work and struggle, I can just enjoy purely. And I feel like that's what we all bring to the table as humans is, hey, look at everything we can do. It's so cool.
Yeah, isn't it fascinating? I love that.
People would say, oh my goodness, how did you write when you had young kids? And yes, logistically that was hard, but also I was engaged in the work of being human all the time. And that's, that's huge. That informs your experience, your writing, you care about people, it's messy. And so I think that actually is a huge benefit to being a creative person.
I love that you say that it's a benefit. I'm wondering, because we've talked about kids and divorce and new beginnings and all these things, if there's a particular phase of life that was particularly difficult to manage creativity, or one that is maybe on the opposite end of the spectrum, like a little bit easier to.
Yeah. I don't know if you had this experience as a young mom, but when I was a young mom putting my ex through graduate school, I had 2 babies. We were living in a sorority.
That sounds like a book.
Yeah, he was gone all the time for good endeavors, but trying to get through school. And I thought, it will never be harder to write than it is right now.
Yeah.
And then life says,
I'll see you and I'll raise you harder than you've never even imagined. You're welcome.
Hold my ginger ale, and then so then I got to the stage where I have an awesome son who's on the autism spectrum and will always live with me probably. And so that diagnosis, and not that he's amazing, I love him, but just adjusting to that
new reality.
Right. Oh, okay. So this is happening. I thought it will never be harder than having 4 little tiny kids at home and trying to navigate this. And then I keep thinking it, and then it keeps getting harder.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. This is so unprofessional, but
no, it's.
I just relate to a lot of the stuff that you're saying. You're like,
funnier and funnier.
Am I being pranked? Is this what harder?
Yes, and then
keep going.
So there's been a bunch of times like that where I thought,
so this seems like a theme in your life.
Yeah, like this is too hard, but also the theme is how lucky am I? Right. The theme is this couldn't possibly be harder and you couldn't possibly be luckier. In the
Do you
sense,
really feel that way?
I do. Yeah. In the sense that I live in a place where physical beauty is accessible all the time. You know, I can walk out the door and see something really pretty. And I have people I love in my life. How lucky is that?
Yeah.
Right? I have these kids. And the really hellish part of divorce is sometimes you don't have your kids.
Oh, yeah.
So it's exhausting, but also that's just
That's a different pain.
That's a different pain. And so, but I have them. Like they exist in the world. And I am so excited about them. There's cool people doing cool things. So yeah, I do feel like how lucky am I too? So there's been a lot of moments where I just thought, are you serious? Do I get to do this?
I know.
Yeah.
I do think, and I'll be accused of being a Pollyanna for this, but what's new? I'm fine with that. But I do feel like there is a very strong connection between creativity and gratitude.
Yeah, 100%.
And in a way that I think that we just are kind of scratching the surface. I think the two go hand in hand because I believe you when you're like, oh, and then it got harder, and then it got harder, and also how lucky am I? And I think that there's something really interesting about that.
Yeah. I remember kind of complaining to a fellow author she said, how are things going? And I said, well, let me tell you.
Hold my ginger ale.
Yeah, hold my ginger ale.
I like to fake smoke. I've never smoked in my life, but I fake smoke all the time. Because I just need a moment. Just needed to gather my thoughts. But sorry, go on.
No, 100%. And I was kind of telling her this story and I thought, and she's a good friend. And she said, oh, so you have a life. And I thought,
yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody has a life.
Yeah.
It may not, everybody's dealing with their stuff. Everybody's having some really great things happen to them. Hopefully. I think some people really do just have, I'm not trying to be too glib about this because there are situations that
100%.
I'm coming from a place of a lot of privilege where I'm educated, I'm white, my parents had enough money. So I don't mean to be glib about any of that, but everyone is grappling with stuff and everybody hopefully is also having big moments of joy.
Yes.
And so everybody's out there having a life. And so this is mine. How lucky am I?
I'm so grateful for this conversation with Ally. I really don't think it's a coincidence when creative people who have practiced it, have an increase in gratitude in their lives, even when their life circumstances don't change and maybe get even harder. Gratitude seems to be the byproduct of practicing creativity on any level, and then that leads to more joy, which is another thing I believe it's possible to create, even when life doesn't get easier. I especially love Ally's point that you don't have to have the ideal working conditions for creativity. In fact, if you're juggling other responsibilities and people who need you, that can be a well for inspiration and human experience that makes you more creative, even while it imposes limits on your time. It's never going to be perfect, but that's the cool part. Creativity is the same exercise as living, navigating all the little things you can't control and making something beautiful out of the ones you can.
The Lisa Show is a production of BYU Radio, hosted by Lisa Valentine Clark. This episode was produced by Becca Hurley-Long, with help from Erica Price, Blake Morse, and Kenny Mears, with post-production by Gracie Davis. A special thanks to today's guest, Ally Condie. Ally is a best-selling author, and a link to her website will be in the show notes. Don't miss out on 2 other amazing podcasts from the Lisa Show family, The Council of Moms and Proofread, a new book review podcast to help you read more of what you love. You can find The Council of Moms and Proofread on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. As always, thanks for your messages. We read them all, and thanks for listening.
Tired of feeling overwhelmed by conflict in your life? Learn the skills to confidently handle any conflict on BYU Radio's new original podcast, Conflict Coach. Certified mediator Dr. Emily Taylor coaches real people through real conflicts in their lives, from family struggles to work disputes, neighborhood conflicts to in-law disagreements. Each episode of Conflict Coach with Dr. Emily Taylor gives you strategies to find the root of a conflict, identify solutions, and create positive change. Tune into Conflict Coach on BYU Radio or wherever you get your podcasts.